Good morning, students. Today we are going to begin for civics. Unit 2 Understanding Secularism. In this unit, we are going to learn about secularism. First of all, let's start. What does the word secularism mean? Secularism means separation of the states from the religious institution. Now, what would be your response of discrimination if in any case that occurs? Imagine you are a person moving from India to some other country where you have some strong kind of religious feeling for any particular religion. Now what happens? You as an outsider move to that country and you do not belong to the same religious, the community as they practice. There should be two response from your side which can be occur if you will treat or if you will face discrimination in that country. First, you would feel that this is not fair and there should not be discrimination. There should not be no discrimination that should exist in the society. So you should raise your voice against discrimination. Second feeling is retaliation, means the feeling of revenge. Okay, I am moving to that country and that person is not behaving properly with me. When that person comes to our country, he should be treated in the same way. This is the retaliation, or we can say tit for tat behavior, where you have strong feeling of revenge that occur. Now, there are numerous worldwide examples where you have discrimination based on religious ground that have occurred. First is discrimination. Example: certain people are not allowed to do certain things because they do not belong to same community. Okay, let's take example of country Saudi Arabia. The government of Saudi Arabia, they do not allow non-Muslim religious to build up their temples or churches. They only give permission to Muslim community to build their mosques. Okay, so this is the policy of their government. But in comparison, our Indian government, they are allowing all religious freedom. Means the different people from different religion, they are hired in each and every job if they have skill or if they are qualified. Okay, now next is exclusion. Exclusion means being in that nation, you are excluded, means you are thrown out, okay, from the main esteem. So for in that example, the Jews state of Israel, what happens is the Muslim and the Christians are considered as minority, means that the people who are belong from Muslim community and Christian communities, they are considered as minority and they are excluded, means they are thrown out of from main esteem. And the last one is persecution, means harassment. Persecution was in the case of Germany when you have Hitler as the ruler and numerous Jews were persecuted during that time. These are the three ways which have seen the world example where discrimination has occurred based on religious. Now this discrimination gathered more momentum when state is involved, means when any country is supporting this discrimination, then it will get more momentum. If the country says we are not part and partial of this discrimination, then this would go down. But when the country supports or the state itself promote discrimination, let's say in case of Saudi Arabia, what would happen? There would be intensify, or we can say there would be increased in discrimination because the government itself supporting in discrimination. Now what is secularism? In the previous chapter, you read about how the Indian Constitution contains fundamental rights that protect us against state power as well as against the injustice of the majority. The Indian Constitution allows individual to freedom to live by the religious belief and practices as they interpret this. As we know, in India, all the religious people are accepted in each and every stage whether it is job, education, or else. Now, in keeping with this idea of religious freedom for all, India has adopted a strategy of separating the power of religion and separating the power of state. If the power and the religious both will get together, then they would start discrimination to the minority group. Secularism refers to the separation of the religious from the state. Why is it important to separate religion from the state? As discussed above, the most important aspect of secularism is its separation of religion from the state power. This is important for a country to function democratically. Almost all countries of the world will have more than one religious group living in them. Within this religious group, there will most likely to be one group that is in majority. So as we know, in each and every country, the people from different community stay there, and there is one community which is in majority. Okay, so that majority group will rule or will handle or will control the other religion. If this majority religion group has access to state power, then it could quite easy use this power and financial resources to discriminate against the persecute person of other religion. Persecute means torture. So when there is majority of group and that majority group have the state power, then that majority group can use the financial and other resources to give better facility to their own community, and they will don't give any kind of benefit to the minority group. So for the majority group, it's easy to torture the minority group. This tyranny means injustice of majority could result in the discrimination, coercion means force, and at times even the killing of religious minority. When the majority group have the state power, then with that power they can do anything. Sometimes they can kill the minority group. The majority could quite easy prevent minorities from practicing their religion. Means they can also do certain things for stopping them to praying, or we can say from following their religion. Any form of domination based on religion is in violation of the rights that a democratic society guarantees to each and every citizen irrespective of their religion. Therefore, the injustice of the majority and violation of fundamental rights that can result is one reason why it is important to separate the state and religion in democratic society. So, this is the main factor why it is important to separate religion from the state. Because of majority religion will get all the power, then they can destroy or they can harm, harass or torture the minority group. Another reason that it is important to separate religion from the state in democratic society is because we also need to protect the freedom of individual to exist from their religion, embrace another religion, or have the freedom to interpret religion teaching differently. All the religions have their different teaching, and to understand this point better, let us take the practice of untouchability. Everyone is aware about untouchability. Okay, why this thing was happened? Because at that time, the people who faced this untouchability were in minority group. Okay, and the people who were doing or who were believing in untouchability, they were in majority group. You might feel that you dislike this practice within Hinduism and therefore you want to try and reform it. However, if state power were in the hands of those Hindus who support untouchability, they then do you think that you would have an easy task or try and change this? Even if you were part of the dominant religious group, you might face a lot of resistance from fellow members of your community. These members who have controlled state power say that there is only one interpretation of the Hinduism, that you do not have the freedom to interpret this differently. At that time, some of the Hindus were also believing in this untouchability, and if during that time that people or the Hindu people, if they would have the power, then do you think that it is easy to remove untouchability? Of course not. That's why it is important to separate religion from the state. So when the state and the religion both are different at that time, the power is in the hand of government, and the government cannot betray anyone. The government will definitely do justice. I hope this session was helpful, and in our next session we are going to start what is Indian secularism. For today, that's it.